You are admirably adventurous, my friends. Reward yourself with the entertainment of this third part, where we briefly glance at the various aspects of the Necromorphs, as well as explore my theory on the beginnings of the Necromorphs. You may now take off your helmets and tread forth confidently.
Strengths and weaknesses. Let's start with the strengths and abilities.
Of course, the assimilation of dead cells. Being so fast, and of course the variety. Greater strategy and awareness due to the necessary connection to the marker, as well as hive mind if such a centrally able necromorph is present. Very durable. Adaptation and evolution. May I say at its finest? Or maybe better, most grotesque. Some zombie-ish perks such as relentless drive, not needing to sleep or rest. Considering the necromorphs are the marker, as it has to be present for their existence, it holds the powers of control and awareness of every individual necromorph, as well as the ability to alter DNA of a dead victim at a distance with electromagnetic frequencies, which can also transmit mental signals for communication or maddening a mind.
Weaknesses.
Destroy the marker or markers, and therefore disable or destroy the entire dependent necroforce. Fire. And I only mention this here because I know somebody in the comments down below will if I don't. And truth be told, fire is just about the destructive force for most monsters out there. Just as a bullet would be a gun or a bomb. Therefore, if it's not a fire-based monster like a fire elemental, then fire is going to be kind of a weakness for just about most creatures out there. So, not necessarily a weakness, but all in all, quite the universal destructive force. Possibly antibiotics and the creation of other microbial level battling agents. Usually very aggressive and straightforward in nature, resulting in predictability.
And now, for the power level.
Ah, the power level. Let's get to it. 1. Being clover mites. You know, those tiny red bugs you find in your garden. 5. This. 10. A celestial entity beyond the limitations of reality as we understand it thus far. A bipedal humanoid necromorph, such as a slasher or a stalker, earns itself a 4. Would overpower most humans, and being as unstoppable as it is due to the microbial governing nature, I'll pin it another 0.5. Because this monster is so composed that it must be completely annihilated. Come to think of it, I gave the thing, considering the potential of a beast it could infect. Bipedal humanoid necromorph, such as a slasher. There's still so much more to be discovered behind the necromorph. Well, as strictly mentioned, the focus here will be narrowed to a general human-sized necromorph, which deserves a 4.5 all in all. But now taking into consideration the marker and all the powers it holds, and on top of that, the fact that if there is a necromorph, a marker must be present, then truly to that 4.5 rating, we would have to add the rating from a marker for a result of at least a 6. That's for a combination of a humanoid necromorph and one marker, which, once again, spawns more questions. Could a marker be considered a monster? Or is it just a tool, a device, a computer used by the Brethren Moon? Or is it a mechanism that became a self-advancing AI? Or are markers a very strange type of alien being themselves, like the various aware crystal conceptions out there? Is there another level to all of this that we are still completely unaware of? And see, that's where my appreciation for this overall concept comes in.
Overall appreciation of the necromorph concept.
Necromorphs, or dead forms, are much, much more than just that. This necromorph phenomenon is so multidimensional. It doesn't necessarily have to have its origins within one place or timeline for that matter, just as we see with creatures in the natural wild world around us that are codependent on each other for survival. Without the existence of a certain single species, an entire other species wouldn't be able to exist.
It may have taken thousands or even millions of years for the correct formula or turn of events to occur to bring forth the existence of markers and the brethren moons, just as such precise calculation had to take place to create our own planet and its capability of producing life. It isn't just one form or the bacteria alone, it's a combination of technology, enormous creatures, and probably a few other really neat factors that we don't yet know about. There was so much drawn inspiration behind creating this lore, such as classic sci-fi literature, the Alien franchise, The Thing, notably in Dead Space 3, games like Doom and Half-Life. And when delving this deep into Dead Space, you can really feel and appreciate it. It seems at first the developers wanted to go with a more insectoid look, but I'm glad they finally went with the look they did with, as it is possibly the freakiest thing you can do with the human body. There is still so much more to be discovered behind the Necromorphs, and it's quite possible that if a Dead Space 4 ever comes out, it will unveil more on the origins. Let's just hope they will fulfill our imaginative lust.
And now for some similar beasts, or creatures, or things to the Necromorph.
The Thing, from the movie The Thing. Xenomorphs or aliens, from the Alien franchise. The Black Goo, also known as Chemical or Agent A0-3959X.91-15. Tyranids of Warhammer lore. And speaking of Warhammer, we'll have to include the Chaos creations. Nurgle. Flood, from Halo game lore. Zergs, from StarCraft. The Race, from the game Run Like Hell. The Mutagen, from the movie Leviathan. And the mutagenic creature from the movie Splinter. Also here we can include the more relatable zombies and ghouls out there. Plague and other disease-infected and infectious monsters. Spore or fungus-based creatures, also able to assimilate other cells. Certain versions of wights. Other infectious monsters, whether by bacteria, virus, or curse/magic.
There are also monsters similar to specific necromorph types that did not make this more generalized list.
Necromorph lore and science actually goes a bit further than discussed here. There are so many types of necromorphs and adaptations they behold that individual videos on each would best cover the spectrum here. An advanced necromorph infestation is composed of a strategic military, an army with various divisions and purposes. Markers, or the brother moons, are in no lack of creativity as far as mixing things up. Necromorphs are truly a force not to be reckoned with, but to be completely eliminated as soon as possible. So if you would like to learn more about a particular necromorph, please request it below, as this was more of an overview of what they are and why they are as a whole.
And before you go too in depth on those comments down below, or click away from the video, do let me know what video game monster you would like to see an all about video next. Oh, but wait, you might still be waiting for my theory on the true origins of necromorphs.
I say that the original creatures here were solely the brethren, the necromorph moons. As an ancient species, they have evolved a way of consumption, as we know from the lore, through which they not only absorb nutrients, but the knowledge of a species. This, as you can imagine, allowed them to evolve at a growing rate, and being the superior gigantic life forms that they are, figured out how to create markers using some of their own stony anatomy. These markers would simply serve as channels for the necromoon's powerful electromagnetic frequencies. Being created from their own bodies, essentially, could be a reason why they're also so effective for such transmissions. Possibly also only imprinting a fractional amount of information into them, the markers, for simple functions if the moon or moons were to be out of range. Being so absorbed in knowledge, understanding of races such as humans' psychology would be a given. And this also brings up some God and religion arguments. But looking at the markers, even the design could have been fashioned in a way to trigger great curiosity, as well as the reason why duplicated markers by another race appear red. It could all be mind games to faster get to the desired result of birthing a new brother moon, as their asexual reproduction requires so much organic matter that they do in fact lack, and therefore have to become dependent on other life to survive as a species. Depending on how or which Dead Space lore you assume, for those big fans out there, along this theory, I think it's very possible that the reason for the red marker making necromorphs temporarily dormant—
What's wrong? I'm right here!
And for all that confusion to occur is, well, just another trick of the moons in order to either relocate and or to expand its role in procreation. Don't underestimate what thoughts, plans, and wisdoms such an entity millions of years in creation may behold, for we are only a pinch in its time of existence. And so bear in mind, the closer a brethren moon to a marker, the stronger the frequencies that can be transmitted, and the greater the impact and change those frequencies can create. So distance is a very important factor here, and considering the size of space where brethren moon travel, it is an effective strategy to use markers in directing and spreading out the frequencies, as a single moon may at times not be able to be present near a planet that it is manipulating for its survival.
Again, it's just a theory around which I appreciate the simplicity, balance, and nature of knowing what we've learned about the necromorph moons. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts, and maybe I'll just assimilate onto your theory. And remember, the images are linked down below. If we used one of your creations within this video, do let me know so I can give you a shout out in the descriptions and comments section below. Also, join us, our powerful monsterhood community over on Discord at discord.gg/F9SZNQW, where you are forever invited. And also check out our official website, monsterite.com, where new creations are added weekly if you want to further support the channel or just see some cool monsters out there. Make sure to subscribe for everything monster, and I sincerely hope you enjoyed this All About Video Game Monsters episode where we talked about
The great Necromorphs. Brother Moons.
Did that really just happen? What the hell is going on?